Hello, this is Greg Prado, author of the books Take It Off, Kiss Truly Unmasked, as well as the Eric Carr story, amongst many others. You're listening to the Shout It Out Loudcast with Tom and Zeus. Rock and roll!
Hey, what's up there, Kiss Army? Tom and Zeus, another episode of Shout It Out Loudcast, episode 136, aptly titled Carmine Appice. Woo!
Ooh, legend in the house tonight. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Fellow Pantheon podcaster.
Correct. Yep.
And we're going to get into all that. But because we have a lot of feedback from last week's Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits episode, we want to get to that. And we may have to cut back a little bit on it because there's so much of it. So much of it. But we want to get right into it. Last week, we did Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, and it got a huge response. And we always start with the poll.
Yeah. We talked about how this episode was going to be a big one, and it was huge. This album means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but the feedback was just amazing. So again, we start with the poll. So we did favorite song out of the new ones. Let's put the X and Sex, You Make Me Rock Hard, and Beth featuring Eric Carr vocals. No surprise. X and Sex was the runaway winner with 56%. Beth with Eric Carr vocals, 23. You Make Me Rock Hard coming in at 21%. We'll get to a couple comments. Pocket Rocket Ride. Paul was right. The two new songs blow. Lee Bruton, Turn It Up, brilliant song. I agree with Tom, but the lyrics are great. I'm under a physical spell. I'm a prisoner, and your love is my cell. Yeah, baby, Paul Stanley at his best. Oh, yeah, and then people were sharing all the gifts. Then they were comparing Paul to friggin' Rock Me Tonight, Billy Squire, which that ends up making an appearance later in the episode tonight. We got Vincent, Don't Call Me Roman Maroney.
Now I'm really angry. This is fucking war.
Talking about Eric Carr and the Beth vocals. Alessandro Rourke, I love Eric, but they should not have done the cover. Rock Hard is hilarious and fun. Don Flamenco, I voted X and Sex. Rock Hard is awful, and I'm a huge Eric Carr fan. And while it was okay, I couldn't get into him singing Beth. Sam Paxton says there's absolutely nothing wrong with Eric's version of Beth, other than the fact that it exists in the first place. It actually makes me feel better knowing Eric didn't want to do it, but I think they did it in case there was some sort of licensing loophole. Okay, perhaps. George Masters, I looked at the options before I read the question, and I thought it was going to say, which one do you hate the most? Oh, God. And then we get into some episode-specific comments like we do all the time, and let's take a look at those here. Tons of feedback, as we said earlier. Uncle Paulie, I like this one. This episode has everything I look for in a podcast. Spot-on impressions of other podcasts. I don't know what you're talking about, Uncle. Judging video chicks on their looks. Toilet humor. Shout It Out Loudcast is the Lex Luger of podcasts. It's the total package. Oh, God. Stop. Paul's Bare Feet says, I can't fucking wait for this one. I'm sure it's going to be another amazing episode. Brian Strutter, it's pretty good, but the drums on I Love It Loud are weak versus the original. Eric's vocals on Beth are excellent. Gerald, Don't Call Me Saul Rosenberg. This was my first Kiss album. I bought it in 1990 and listened religiously until I dove into the entire catalog. It was also my first Kiss shirt. The front was the cover of the album. The back said, if it's too loud, you're too old. Graham Richley, random thought. Would it have been more insulting to Peter to omit Beth totally or have Eric sing it? I actually like the novelty of hearing Eric sing, but it did seem like a very provocative move. Then we got one from Diva Social Media. Just found you guys. I'm just listening. Why have I only just found you? With multiple laughing emojis. Awesome podcast. Well, thank you, Diva Social Media. Ken and Satan Service. Another great episode. I always thought Eric singing Beth was a slap in the face to Peter. He did a great job, although it was unnecessary. Iowa Scolder. As a 12-year-old, I showed my mom the promo for it in the back of Circus Magazine and asked for the cassette for Christmas. She freaked out seeing the new song titles and said, absolutely not. But it was in my stocking. Thank you, Mom. That's a great story. Stuart H. Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits was my first Kiss LP I bought with my own money. All right. Well, that's good, I guess. Casey Campbell, great show as always. I think they replaced the drum parts on some of Love Gun. Yes, they definitely did. Our buddy Joel Hoffman, if you'd never heard a Kiss song, when Paul talks about the past music, you would think they're the worst band with shitty songs. I hate his revisionist history. He's legitimizing all the haters of this band. In the same breath, they will tell you they are the greatest band. That's a great point, Joel. I agree. We talk about that all the time. Eric Singer's huge hat. I'm going to look around inside this huge hat. I think there's a cassette copy of the album. West Beach, very good. Was just thinking of taking a listen to this one. Alessandro Rourke, again, my first Kiss release for me. I knew the songs because of my older cousins. Our buddy Steve chimes in, says one of the worst covers ever. Poor sound on a lot of the songs. Manuel Rodriguez, I bought this compilation when it came out. I love this compilation, and Eric Carr's version of Beth is incredible. Jimmy Theodore, note to Paul, leave the Peter songs alone. Whoa, all right. And that's Twitter.
Okay. Over on our Facebook page, Rob Schwartz. I love this when it came out, except I Love It Loud sounded too wimpy because of the poor drum mix on this version. I haven't listened to this album in 30 years. If I want to hear a greatest hits album, it's double platinum, one of my favorite Kiss albums. You're not alone on that. Charles Eaton. First time I heard this album was on the radio the night before its release. The local radio station always played what they called the midnight snack at midnight on Monday and Wednesday nights. I tuned in a little late and didn't hear the opening telling me who it was, but I didn't need that to know it was Kiss and recorded it to cassette. I wore that tape out till I got to the store to buy the cassette. I love this, especially X and Sex. Oh, teenage boy here. Hello. It sounded great on my car system. Ask anyone in our small town. Old men shaking canes and old women gasping in terror as the sounds bombarding their aged hearing. This was my second Kiss purchase. It was pretty much the only thing they could get Crazy Nights out of my cassette player. The new songs I love. It doesn't hold up well as production-wise today, but it suffers from the nostalgia bump, and therefore it's one of my favorites.
Yep.
You guys made my Saturday morning by releasing this review. Thanks. Piss cakes for everyone.
Oh, shit.
And that was from Charles, don't call me Mark, Eaton.
Yeah, Charles, thank you.
Simon Moulin, had it on tape, played it to death, loved it. Martin Svensson, great album. I guess I'm the only one who loves the front cover. Miroslav Kostek, very good video clip. Let's put the X and Sex. This is very good song. Super new version, Love Gun and Beth. Matthew Mattingly, I really like this album. Thought the remixes were cool. Found out last year's Rock and Roll Night had a completely different bass track. Eric Sartana Horner, first cassette I bought on my own. Classic. Sean O'Daly, the American version is better than the European version. Jimmy Rolfson, hope you didn't forget to mention the extra guitar solo licks from Ace and Deuce. Never heard until the release of Smashes. Yeah, he's talking about the outro. We did mention that. That is now longer, and you can hear the outro that Ace is playing.
Yep.
Max Lynch. In 84, Billy Squier puts out the rock video, Rock Me Tonight, and pretty much destroyed his career. What's Paul's response? Just a few years later? And he puts a picture of him in the Rock Hard video. That's nothing. Hold my beer. I mean, sparkling cider? What? Rick Rera. I hope this episode makes me rock hard. Michael Norby. Hated it upon release. Ashamed of it. Proud fan as I was, I had to defend it every day at school, but I was so disappointed. Pointless in hindsight, in that double platinum certification is a mystery. Mark Jett, never liked the cover. Michael Murphy puts a jazz hands gif. Michael Rowan, great episode, gentlemen. And he talks about the songs that we sometimes play in our episode. Keep up the great work. Beantowners, Tom.
No, stop.
Nobody calls us Bean from Boston, says Beantown. Nobody.
Stop. We love you, Mike, but stop.
Yeah. Johnny Jetson, rock solid. Mikhail Holst, the sound is awful. Too poppy. Brian Harris, hate, load, detest. Let's put the X in sec. Lamest, dumbest, most moronic song ever written, recorded by anybody in music history.
Wow.
Yeah, you're wrong. 100% wrong. You might not like it to say that's the worst song of all time. That's terrible opinion. No offense, Brian. Terrible.
No offense, but that's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. So over on our group page, Jim Schmitz, this album was my gateway to Kiss. Great memories.
Mhm.
Brian Cruzel, I like Eric Carr's version of Beth as much as Peter Chris's. I know I'm in the minority, but it was my first version. It happens. It does. Brennan Barria, my go-to version of Love Gun. I absolutely love the remix they put on it.
Dude, do you know how many people jumped in on that and agreed? That is insane.
Yeah, I mean, Jebsen did, so I don't know what that means.
Oh, yeah, but he dropped on his head one too many times, that poor guy, Jebsen.
Go get vaccinated, brother. When Kevin Jebsen, when this came out, I loved it and listened to it all the time because it was Kiss. Now I really do, unless it's Love Gun. Love that version. But I am a sucker for the two new songs. Man, you guys had me cracking up again. I sure hope we can hang out for some drunk laughter in the buffet on the cruise. Is that the man?
Is this the man who wrecked the buffet at the Harrow Club?
And talk about cukes, piss cakes, Mr. Feces. What normal people talk about. We love you, Kevin. Get vaccinated.
Oh, God almighty.
Daniel Peoples. I thought Sonny Pooney was the authority on Chick Heat Index. I don't even know what that means, but okay.
I think he means like rating the hotness of chicks.
Oh, I think, yeah, because he's commenting on Jebsen and those ugly chicks from the video.
Yeah, no, Pooney's he just comments on Bridget Fonda. That's it.
Yeah, and his awful taste in music and chicks. Scott Mays, like you guys said, great starter pack for a Kiss beginner. Plus, the original songs are a killer. You really can't argue about the song choices in this album. Tony Smith, without listening, I can tell you this is going straight to the crapper. That's nice. Jason Warden, this may be a little bit past the starter pack for me. I had rediscovered Kiss around 86 and Asylum kicked it off. By 89, I had bought most of their catalog. This era is special to me. The band continued to make new music while celebrating the past. I have to agree with a lot of that, Jason. We came in around the same time.
Yep.
Paul Heater. I can't get over Paul's criticism of some tracks as kitschy. Wikipedia's definition of kitsch: art or other objects that, generally speaking, appeal to popular rather than high art taste. Kitsch is also related to the concept of camp because of its humorous and ironic nature. Calling seriously? Kiss is kitsch? Well, you got a point there, Paul.
This is why I love our listeners. They're pulling out dictionary definitions and calling Paul out. I love it.
Yeah, well, good for them. The fact, Graham Richley, the fact that this album is the biggest seller stinks as bad as those skid mark panties. Very sad that the masses left Kiss after this one. Tony Stratus, great episode, guys. Thanks for filling my anticipation for this album review. I love this album when I purchased, and I still love this album. It's nostalgia to this day. Love you guys. Keep rocking. And I'm distracted because somebody has this picture of this hot chick underneath the post. So I'm like, who the fuck posted that? Frederick Skyrep put a picture of some hot chick. I don't
Frederick
know.
Polowatsky?
Ogre, you asshole.
Ogre, you asshole.
Tom, over on our Instagram page. Yeah. No class rock-a-rolla. So many fingers. Obviously talking about the image of the hands up. But then we got, and we wanted to make sure we give a shout out to, is our buddies over at Joyce Home Services. Yeah. They write, thanks, TNZ. You guys are amazing. Funny as hell. We listen at work. And so we're like, we'll give you a shout out next time. And he's like, that's great. We're handyman contractors in Toronto, Canada. We listen to you guys when we work. We have the show on the job site. We're big Kiss fans. We love you guys. You guys get us laughing so hard, the whole job site roars. You make the day go by very fast. We appreciate what you do. Well, Joyce Home Services in Toronto, anybody listening in that area better give those guys a call because they have good taste and sound like quality guys.
That's amazing. They have great taste and they do quality work unless they're falling over laughing to us in the middle of the show while they're installing your furnace.
Exactly. We thank you guys in Toronto. So
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
And Tom, over on YouTube. We're going to start with Man with No Name. When you guys talked about Paul opening those skid-marked panties from the envelope, I pictured a 1988 Paul with the trademark "Who farted? Shit smell green." Green face he wears in every photo these days. I couldn't stop laughing along with you guys. There's a reason why you guys are the best. Oh, that was awesome.
Wait, that's the reason why we're the best? Because we talk about shit-stained panties?
Then he saw those shit-stained panties and he knew that it was you.
I hope there's other reasons why you think we're the best, but I appreciate the words anyways, my friend.
Toilet humor, Tom.
Exactly.
Pete Stratos, bring back Vinnie Vincent and his shredding ability. The world needs a hero right now. Yeah, we'll hear about Vinnie in a little bit.
Oh, shit.
JC, this is why I love this podcast. I used to listen to Three Sides, and they just seem angry at their fans at doing their podcast. So great to listen to a podcast where the hosts actually enjoy what they're doing. Every show is varied, and I always look forward to each new one. Definitely the most diverse KISS podcast going.
Wow. All right. Thanks, buddy. That's awesome.
Well, I'm going to have to eject you from my Facebook poster group.
Why don't you take a picture of your favorite podcast
and just make sure that you put the seal so nobody can take it from you, or you can get the fuck out of here. Johnny Be Good, never owned it, never will. I love Eric Carr. Rest in peace. But to re-record Beth is as much as sacrilege as re-recording Shock Me. You just don't duck with those iconic songs. The voices are just as much as part of the music. Jason Leonard, greetings, lads. Another fantastic episode. I've been waiting for this one. Big Brother bought Smashes when we were in high school. At the time, I loved this compilation. Now I only see it as flawed. It sounds weird. I still enjoy the two new tracks. Goofy, but fun. I love the Bruce Kulick intro to this episode. Bruce rules. Tom, want to tell people why Bruce's bumper just got put on now?
You really want me to tell everybody?
Go ahead.
Wow, how Bruce recorded a bumper back in December for our 100th episode and you forgot about it until fucking August?
I'm like, I'd like to rotate them so it's not the same one. And then I'm like, dude, when was the last time I played the Bruce one? I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't think I've ever played the Bruce one.
Yeah, Zeus is like, yeah, Tom, don't get mad. I'm like, oh, wow, what's the matter? He's like, I just used Bruce's bumper for the first time. I'm like, he fucking recorded that 8 months ago for us.
Whoops. Yeah, that's on me, guys. I apologize. So sorry about that one. Devin Dungan, great episodes, guys. I've always enjoyed the compilation. I will say that the perfect compilation for the time would have been a mixture of this, Chikara, more 80s material would have been pretty cool. I can kind of agree.
I like it.
Anthony, I'm sorry, Tom?
No, I was just going to say, I agree with Devin. Good call.
Yeah. Anthony Stratus. Smashes was very popular also in Australia upon its release in 88. Let's Put the X in Sex, I remember, was always number 2 on the radio for months behind the Fine Young Cannibals.
Oh,
at the hit single, She Drives Me Crazy.
That is fucking brutal. Oh, my God.
And they had the other song. What was their other big song?
Good Thing.
Oh, Good Thing.
That fucking band is a disaster. One of the worst to ever come out of the 80s.
Okay. She Drives Me Crazy, which was number 1. I still love the Smashers album to this day. Anyways, great episode, Tom and Zeus. Keep rocking. We love Anthony.
Thanks, buddy.
Mr. Antonio. I picked up Smashers when it came out on vinyl in 1988 and played the crap out of it. Those music videos, especially You Make Me Rock Hard, has not aged well. Paul prancing, dancing, and clapping his hands makes you feel like he drew inspiration from the choreography found in Billy Squire's Rock Me Tonight video.
Which comes up later in this episode.
Yeah, foreshadowing again. Lastly, I see you took the name of his town. What was your father's name? My father's name was Antonio Andolini. You will have to speak up. I can't hear you. His name was Antonio Andolini, and this is for you. hands Don Ciccio a limited edition 1988 Gene Simmons girdle from Let's Put the X in Sex video and a Paul Stanley body glove jacket with matching body glove pants, t-shirt, shoes, and guitar.
Body glove.
And a copy of Paul's backstage pass, to which Don Ciccio responds, "I will take everything but the book." Did he just
Terrible.
say, "Chichi, aboard"?
Exactly.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, Mikey. Let's get him now. Let's hit him now while we got the muscle.
Oh, one last thing. We also got a DM on Twitter. And this is from Scott, not Led Zeppelin. "I've been loving the show lately. Great way to take my mind off of things in my downtime at work. Working at the hospital during a pandemic has been a challenge, and you guys definitely helped me get through the long and stressful days. I've always gotten around March Madness for the brackets, but now finally going back and listening to older episodes. You guys are absolutely killing it. Listening here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Keep up the great work."
Wow. Awesome, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome. And thank you for the work that you're doing
Yes.
during the pandemic and stuff. And we appreciate you listening, and stay safe, brother.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, Tom, I think we're finishing up with some emails.
Yeah, let's fly through some emails here. Bill Sharp, my thoughts on Kiss re-recording Beth. Due to the personal nature of the song, why not have Eric re-record Hard Luck Woman? It was written by Paul and a single. In regards to I Love It Loud not fading back in as it does on Creatures, possibly this was due to time constraints and making room for other material. That's probably right. One last thing about the corrected spelling of Rock and Roll All Night. Do you think it's possible that someone who worked on printing the album cover didn't know any better? I hope not, but you never know. James Thompson, fantastic show this week. One of the great things your podcast does is reintroduces material I haven't thought about in 30 years, such is the case with Smashes, Thrashes, Hits. I got into Kiss in 87 when I saw the Dress to Kill tape at Kmart. I asked my dad to buy it for me, and he told me I wasn't going to like it. By 88, I had almost the entire catalog. Smashes was actually the first new Kiss album I ever bought. Today, greatest hits albums are pointless because you have every single song in history available for instant access. But in 88, they were a godsend. Nobody my age had a CD player back then, and only the richest of the rich kids had a double-decker boombox where you could record tape to tape. So if I wanted to hear Detroit Rock City and I Love It Loud back-to-back in 88, I had to eject my Destroyer cassette and reach for my horribly 80s Creatures tape with Bruce Kulick on the cover in leopard sex pants. Love the show. Agree with all your points this week, including Paul turning into the front man. Go back and watch every video they made in the 80s. Paul is always wearing a guitar, but he never fucking touches it. Nice. Mark Peralta. Hey, Z and T, so glad I stumbled on you two on the Jericho podcast. I've spent the better part of 2 months catching up. So glad you're all doing what you do. Great shows, guests, and you two keep the laughs going each week. I was excited to listen to the Smashes episode last week as that was one of the big entry points for me with Kiss. I pretty much grew up with a working mom and divorced parents and a lot of time, especially in the summer, watching MTV. I can't recall the chronological order, but I would have been around 8 when I got Smashes, but I don't think it was the actual first album I purchased. I do remember taking hard-earned lawn cutting money to a local Kmart and purchasing cassettes. Along with some of the bands I was seeing on MTV like Def Leppard, I started purchasing Kiss because I knew they were a rock band and I liked the album covers. I remember playing the shit out of that compilation along with collecting their 70s discography very young. And then he goes on and tells this really cool story about Paul Stanley being on a TV show. Cool stuff there. Awesome, Mark. Thank you. David Clark, shout out Loudcast team. Great podcast as always. It may be my age. I'm getting frightening close to curmudgeon status, but I'm not usually a huge fan of compilation albums unless they are live. Thanks, guys. I got to see the End of the Road show before the pandemic hit. Would love to hear your review of the upcoming show that you'll be seeing this month. Thanks for your hard work on the podcast. It's the best out there by far. David C. Thank you, David. And that review might be coming sooner than you think. Justin Steele, guys, great episode. Brought back a lot of memories. I remember thinking how fucked up all the remixes sound. I also remember thinking how embarrassed I was for Paul in those videos. If it was your only exposure to Kiss and Paul at that time, then I guess it would be fine. But I remember thinking, what is this fucking guy thinking? Paul should have been hanging out with Jim and Saul, rubbing small little sand baskets on each other in those videos. And then he goes into the question of the week, talking about what we talked about with Ace and Peter. Thanks, guys. Justin Steele. Great stuff. Our good friend Wes Beach. Gentlemen, thanks for delivering another entertaining and informative show. I had been thinking about giving this album a listen, and then I saw this was your latest episode. And I also got the limited edition version like Tom. I've always been a fan of the 2 new songs, and they are catchy as hell and rock harder than anything else on the album, and they both had good videos to go along with, substandard models notwithstanding. Been a long time since I listened to Smashes, and now we'll go back and check it out with SIOL ears on and see if I agree with 80s remix and sound. Then he goes on and talks about Sonny's Clues and the Kiss Clue game. Great stuff. Awesome, Wes. Thank you. Kevin Northern. Hey, guys, as always, another great episode. I like the idea of putting out a compilation at this time and don't mind some remixing and tweaking to make those songs unique to that album. Like you guys mentioned, the beginning of Dr. Love on Double Platinum and also Firehouse from that album being bumped up in pitch. But going for the production of the time for me was unnecessary and just sounds terrible. And they could have easily covered everything in their catalog up to that point and made a great double album collection. A Double Platinum 2 Electric Boogaloo, if you will. Thanks always for all you do for the show and for making us Loudcasters a part of it. Awesome, Kevin. Thank you. And then we will finish up with Rod Gommond. You, the podcast, has a new fan. Found out about your podcast a couple months ago from, as you say, Stewart. I live an hour south of Vegas, and as a transplant from Pawtucket, Rhode Island, I love listening to your KISS as well as New England area discussions. My first KISS concert was at the Providence Civic Center in 1978 as a 14-year-old. Loved it immensely. I was too young to drive. My parents took me, and I remember my dad asking whose socks were on fire since he wasn't a pot smoker. I also remember going out to eat after my ears were ringing. I still have the $7.50 ticket and the write-up in the Providence Journal. I'm lucky in 2 respects in that I'm only around 30 episodes in. I'm skipping around, so I have many more to go, and I get to listen to new podcasts at 9 on a Friday. As a diehard Jerky Boys fan and you Fargan iceholes playing Roman Maroney clips, I wish we could get together for drinks because that would, I am sure, be a gut buster of a night. Keep up the fantastic work. In KISS we stand. Rod from Kingman, Arizona. P.S. Is it just me or are concerts not as loud as they used to be? The loudest concerts I remember was the above-mentioned KISS concert, Ozzy and Providence Pantera at the Joint in Las Vegas. See yous later, Jerky. And Rod, thank you for all that great stuff. And you, the fan, our comment of the week.
Good answer. Good answer. I like the way you think. I'm going to be watching you.
And as far as your comment about concerts not being loud as they used to be, I don't really agree with that. Concerts are still loud. Maybe KISS turns down the volume a little bit at their shows, but I haven't really noticed a big difference. That being said, I've never seen Ozzy and Pantera, so I don't think much is going to compete with those 2 shows live.
If it's too loud, you are too old.
Oh, God.
Too hard, it's...
That is not a good song. That is not a good song. Stop. All right.
Let's get you on a monster sonic boom argument online again.
Please. You people out there, I thought the Ace cult was bad. Now there's a monster cult. The fuck is the matter with you people? God. And I love that super lazy take of, you don't like him because of the lineup. We love Eric and Tommy. We say it all the time. That album is not good. Period.
We'll talk to you about Sonic Boom when we get to Sonic Boom. We may have a different,
exactly.
Like we might each have a different opinion of it. Who knows?
Yep.
I'm not that down on Monster, but I can see your point, and you have a right to think the way you want to. So
yeah.
The other thing I want to give a shout out to Daryl Alber, our buddy, for putting that video together of the comments we made about the friggin' lady from the video from Let's Put the X in Sex and her ball splitter. And then he made the video and he put it in the background and it was Marsha Brady, not Jan Brady, who got in trouble for drawing the picture of George Washington. And then our good buddy Jericho, when he saw it, texted us and said, I always thought it looks like the Easter Island lady. Like
Yes.
statues from Easter Island. We're like, oh shit. And
Oh,
that
my
reminded
God.
me, Tom, and as we laughed about this, it reminds me of the Easter Island boy that was in the TV, in the comic,
Yep.
The Critic.
That's
which
right.
Stars Doc McGee as the critic from the cartoon. There was an Easter
Yep.
Island boy. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, on that side note, but before we move on to Kiss World, I want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon subscribers. And Patreon is where people can connect with us and get a couple extra perks and join a little community. There are different levels there. Anybody that's interested can look and see if that's something that you might like and join. This week, we want to thank Jean-Francois Albert. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, from all the way in France.
Excellent.
He joined, and I'm not sure if I'm trying to think of every hockey player I can think of, French Canadian, but I'm assuming this is from France since he paid in euros. Jean-Francois Albert. Thank you, Jean-Francois. Much appreciated. We love your emails to us. We thank you for your contribution and your help. And we hope that you will continue to be an active member on Patreon, which is where we connect with you guys. And I can't say enough. It's been a great addition to the podcast. And we really thank you and appreciate all that you guys do for us on the Patreon network.
Absolutely. You guys are the best. And a special shout out to Jean-Francois. Thank you so much for contributing and becoming a part of the Patreon family, for Shout Out Loudcast, and to everybody out there that has been a family member there on Patreon. We thank you guys so much. Every week, our gratitude is just so much for what you guys have been doing.
So, Tom, what we do next is we go on to Kiss World. But in this world, it seems like there's not much going on. There's a bunch of tumbleweeds going by in Kiss World. Nothing really going on.
Well, the only thing going on is what's going on? The rent, motherfucker.
You got a job? Whoa. Get the fuck out of my face.
No, the only thing that's going on is our excitement level for the end of the road to start next Wednesday. We'll be there, and I'm excited that Kiss is not postponing it or anything. They're posting things on their social media saying how they're excited to get back at it, August 18th in Massachusetts. So we're fired up for that. However, our friend the Demon is making the news because he likes to be a little passive aggressive on Twitter with his retweets, his comment free retweets. But then he did an interview recently. And he's given his thoughts on COVID-19, which we're no surprise if you follow him on Twitter, you know what they are. But then he comes out and says, I'm not worried. And it's unkind to say this. I'm not worried if an idiot gets COVID and dies. Okay. Look, I'm not going to tell you, everybody's got their own opinions on COVID. Some of them are stronger than others, but I really don't know what the fucking end game is for Gene to come out with a comment like that. I just don't know what you're doing by saying that. I just don't. Even if people agree with him, which there are, because I've seen him on social media, I don't understand what. But then again, all of these older rock guys, they don't give a fuck. Because they've established their career. They got nothing to gain. And in their eyes, they got nothing to lose. You see it with Dee Snider and Sebastian Bach. Now you're seeing it with Gene. But it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth just because, I don't want to hear fucking Gene Simmons say, I don't care if an idiot gets COVID and dies. I mean, come on, man. I prefer passive-aggressive Gene Twitter. Actually, I miss Pandemic Paul, to be honest with you.
Oh, you don't. You know me. I love what Gene said. I'm high-fiving him for it. Good for him. But that's why we have a different opinion. We're not the same person. We don't have the same opinion about politics, music, sports, and Kiss. That's what makes this show fun.
Yep,
so, yeah,
agreed.
He's fucking being a little bit more aggressive. I agree with you. I think it's, he's at the point where he can get away with it. I think like the Sebastian Bachs and the lower tier people need to watch out that they alienate a lot of the fan base that they have by holding these strong beliefs. But you got to give them credit. They want to feel the way and say it. Oh, and they don't care about their fan base leaving them. Then good for them if they really strongly believe in it. Gene is just, it's fucking Gene, you know.
Of course.
He's going to share his opinions and tell us, the fans, how it is. You know, and Paul's out there doing his usual shtick out there, sharing, and now he's got this big thing with SE Cup, the political talking.
Oh, yeah, they're in love with each other now.
Wait, you can do like, oh my goodness. The Renaissance man's in effect. Other than that, we got our concert coming up on the 18th. Let's see if that goes. And if it does go, then we get to meet Heavy Mayo in person. And this is the last episode that would air before that. So if any of you guys are out there or ladies that will be at the concert, send us a message.
Come and find us.
No. Yeah, we'll set something up. Beers are on you. No problem.
Beers are on you, the fan.
Bud Lights. Woohoo!
Yes.
Let's do this.
Yes.
So we'll see you on Wednesday. Make sure you find us. Contact us online if you guys are going to be at the show.
Yep.
So, Tom, we're moving on to the actual interview we just conducted. And when we joined Pantheon and they told us, you know, we're going to have Carmine and Vinnie. I can't even say Appice brothers.
Right.
Appice and Appice. All right. Yep. We were super excited, and we've been planning this for quite some time. We finally found a time that works for our schedule and Carmine's, and we got a pretty lengthy interview with him, and it's filled with fascinating stuff for us. So we went on a little bit, what would you say, a little personal privilege that we took and asked about some other subjects that we like, but about rock and roll. We hope and we think that you guys will like it too, as much as the stuff that he discusses about Kiss. Fascinating, legendary person, legendary.
Yeah, when you get somebody like Carmine Appice on here with the track record that he has, the resume, the history that he has, you can't just have him on and talk about the stuff that he's had with Kiss, which is a lot. We had to pick his brain, and like Zeus said, we go off a little bit, but we know that you're not just Kiss fans who listen to this show, that you're rock music, you know, classic rock, metal, whatever. He talks, and just listening to somebody like him with the experiences that he's had, with the people he's played with, you can't help but want to listen to it more. And he loves to talk about his history, and he should, because it's an amazing story.
Yeah. So this is a guy that can boast that, no, he didn't see him in concert. He hung out with these people. So he's friendly with Jimi Hendrix, the Led Zeppelin, Rod Stewart, Kiss, you name it. He knows it. He's been on the Ed Sullivan Show. Every drummer knows him and quotes him. At one point, I talk about Greg Prado's book, Bonzo, Off the Air. I think I talked about him with him. Mm-hmm. He has a book called 30 Rock Drummers Remembering the Legendary John Bonham. And another oral history book. Greg is the great, great writer. We had him on our show when we did the Kiss non-makeup book that he did. And he also has a biography on Eric Carr. Greg's awesome. He does these oral history books. And on this book, there's like 30 drummers talking about how incredible John Bonham is. Half of them bring up Carmine's name. Yep. Half of them talk about, well, yeah, Carmine Appice actually came a little bit before Bonham. Bonham was influenced by Carmine Appice. Exactly. This is insanity to me. And we're talking to him. The fucking Mud Shark story with Led Zeppelin. Maybe that's discussed here. There is so much shit you can get into. There's stuff from the album review crew that we get into with him, and that's why we asked him. He brings up Poison in a couple things. There's a lot of fun stuff in here. We were ecstatic. We think you will be too. Tom, any other words you want to add before we go into this?
Yeah, just real quick. One thing I want to add is the other thing I love about this: raw honesty. Just telling you what he thinks, and he does not care. It's just raw honesty, and that's what we want. He's got experiences like no one else out there, and he's telling the stories, and he's telling the truth about what he thinks, what he saw, his experiences, just fantastic stuff. We hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, the music industry, everything. You name it, he goes into it. Guys, this is a great one, and we are so proud to have gotten this interview. And he's turned out to be a great guy. So here it is. Carmine Appice.
All right, so people, we got a legend in the house tonight. He has been in the bands Vanilla Fudge, Cactus, Blue Murder, King Kobra when they opened for Kiss on the Asylum tour. He's played with such legends as with Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart, Rick Derringer, Ted Nugent, Pink Floyd, Ozzy Osbourne, Paul Stanley, Vinnie Vincent, among others. And he is our fellow Pantheon podcast brother. And speaking of brothers, he's doing a show with his brother, also drum legend Vinnie Appice, co-host of Hangin' and Bangin'. We are thrilled to have drumming icon and legend Carmine Appice on the show today. Carmine, welcome.
How you doing, man? I got a question for you. Is that a real mic or is that just a mic?
Oh no, this is a real mic. We are all ready to go here. Nope,
because I met with the owner of Pantheon,
Christian and Peter.
Yep. Actually, yeah. So they said we got to get our mics a sound better, so we're going to use mics. So tonight I'm going to use my girlfriend. My girlfriend has a podcast called A Life Story.
Okay.
She's a major talk show host in New York City for years.
Oh, nice.
Opposite Howard Stern, and she used to get like the number 3 ratings. 600,000-700,000 people a day listen to her.
Wow.
And now
awesome.
She's got this great podcast about old people. And Kristen is saying, man, she's got a great sound on there. That's what we got to do for you guys. I said, okay. So tonight I'll be using a mic.
There you go.
Instead of this.
No, you sound great. You sound great now.
It's working for us. Yeah.
Yep. So before we get into the interviews, every time we have a guest on, because we're a KISS podcast, we like to have some fun with our guests. We like to ask some questions just to get to know where you stand as a KISS fan. Fun, harmless questions here. Zeus is going to fire those off, and then we're going to get into the interview.
All right, Carmine. So first one we ask, favorite KISS member?
Member?
Yeah.
I can't answer that. I know
Okay.
I know them all.
Okay. We know it's a
All right,
difficult one.
I'll change it a little bit. Who are you closest with?
Well, I used to be close to Paul, very close to Paul.
Okay.
But over the years, it's been faded away a bit. But then I was also close to Peter. I went on vacation with Peter in Mexico with our wives at the time.
Wow.
Okay.
And we hung out. I went to his house. I used to tell him to get back into playing, get off those electronic drums. Paul, I took to Rod Stewart parties, and one time went to a Midas muffler place together. I had to fix my muffler and my Jaguar, which looked like a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, and Paul came with me, and the guys asked the guys, say, "Hey, you guys in a band?" Those are the days when Paul never took off the makeup.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I said, "Yeah, we play a little bit, And then when we finished the job, I said, he should only know who he had in here. I was playing with Rod, playing 6 nights at the Forum, number 1 records, and Paul. I remember when we went to see Angel together.
Oh, yeah.
That's why Paul has been my closest guy,
Okay.
Gotcha.
And, when I see Angel together, we're sitting like in the audience, and all these little girls and fans are pointing to us, and I'm figuring they're pointing to Paul. They were pointing to me because they didn't know what he looked like.
Oh, that's right.
funny.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Right.
funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
But when they did their first arena tour,
Yeah.
I opened up for them when I was playing with Leslie West and Mountain.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And we opened up for KISS on I don't know how many, a lot of shows. Matter of fact, when I saw that show with the fire and everything, I got inspired in my drum solo, put lighter fluid on my cymbals, and I lit them up. And then when I hit them, the lighter fluid would go all over the place.
Jeez.
I had a little fire in front of the stage. Couldn't do that no more.
You can't do those kind of pyrotechnics anymore.
No.
Wow. That's crazy.
No. All right. Do you have a favorite KISS song?
I don't know. I like kind of the disco song that they wrote after I did Do You Think I'm Sexy.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Paul was hanging out with us then, and he
I Was
always
Made
said
for
he
Loving
wanted-
You.
Yeah, he always wanted a song like that, and I thought that was a pretty cool song.
Okay.
So maybe then you're to blame for when all the KISS fans turned and like, oh, KISS went disco.
Yeah. Same with Rod. They went disco.
Right.
But how big did that song go?
Exactly.
That's what Paul says too, right?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
and
that's
you
what we said about Do You Think I'm
co-wrote
Sexy?
that, right?
I co-wrote Do You Think I'm Sexy, and when we recorded it, it didn't sound like that. It sounded like big fat guitars and big drum sound. And Tom Dowd, the producer, put orchestras on and all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
And David Foster and Tom Scott. And then before you know it, it sounded like it sounded. But hey, it went to number one in every free country. So
it certainly did. Yep.
Do you have a favorite Kiss album?
No, I'm not really. I'll tell you the truth. Since I knew the guys, you know, it wasn't like a fan.
Okay.
It was a friend, more a friendship.
I mean, my favorite Kiss album is Paul Stanley's solo album that I played.
Perfect.
Yep.
You know?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Good call.
I did like Ace Frehley's album too.
Yep.
Yep. Now, do you remember now? Did you ever see them? No, you were bigger before they even hit it big.
Yeah.
When Kiss hit it big. So you weren't going there as a kid buying a ticket to go see Kiss. But do you remember how many tours? How many tours have you done with them? Besides,
I did that one with I did the one with Leslie.
Yeah.
I did the one with King Kobra.
Yep.
And then I did the album with Paul. Mm-hmm. And I was managed by a Coin Management at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And when they did that thing, the movie about the park.
Yeah.
You know, they had the live thing. I was there. I was backstage with them, and I hung out with them a lot in the late 70s. You know.
Yep.
So you've probably seen them perform over 50, 100 times.
Maybe 100 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you have a favorite memory with Kiss? Any favorite one that you might have?
I think
let's start off with
a couple of them.
Let's start off with this question, and that could lead to a story. So we know that you played on Paul Stanley's solo album,
right?
Which is a huge favorite of Zeus and I. We love that album. Kiss fans love that album. Tell us how, because that was 1978. Tell us how you got involved with Paul, like what your relationship was with him, and why you only performed on that one song as opposed to.
I recorded a few songs.
Okay.
You know, in those days when you do an album, you over-record it.
Okay.
You know, and then whoever the producer and Paul picked the songs, you know, it just so happened that, you know, I didn't play on the songs the ones he picked.
Gotcha.
You know? But the one I played on really left an impression on everybody, because I can tell you a funny story. When that album came out, I was doing clinic tours, and I had done one tour at that time. I went to one music store, and I get questions. I said, what's the drum fills you played on Take Me Away? Is that the name?
Take Me Away Together as One.
Yeah, that's a great song.
What's the drum fills you played on that? And I tell you the truth, I didn't remember, because, you know, when I play and record, I just play whatever comes to my mind. I don't rehearse like, oh, this is going to be here and that's going to be there. I just play what I feel. So I said, honestly, I don't remember what I played, and I haven't really listened to the song. You know, it's just come out, and I don't have a cassette of it, you know?
Yep.
So
Gotcha.
Next day, same thing happened, right? And the third day, I said to the store owner, I said, you got a copy of that new Kiss, you know, Paul Stanley album?
Yeah.
He said, no, but there's a record store next door. So I went next door and I actually bought the record on a CD, on a cassette. I put it in my Walkman and I listened to it. And then I listened to the fills. I said, okay, I know. If I got that question again, I'll know what I'm talking about. Sure enough, the next two clinics, I did 5 clinics that week. Every one of them asked me about that song.
Really?
Wow.
And the last two I knew about. You know, I knew what I did. But, you know, so that's really how it happened. I just came back from Asia with Rod Stewart. And I remember I went right into the studio. I was fried. I slept on the plane. I went right in the studio and I was fried. I must have done 2 or 3 songs at least. And, you know, Paul had been hanging out with me, as I was saying.
Yeah.
And then I said to Paul, I'm looking for a manager. He goes, well, you should call Bill. So I did. So I called Bill LaCoin, and he liked the idea. And while I was at Rod, he was managing me, and he hired me publicity people in everywhere I went with Rod. Like if I went to Europe, he'd hired me a PR person for Europe. In America, we had a PR person. In Japan, we had a PR person. Wherever I went. So I was getting major press about being with Rod, and then playing on the Kiss album and hanging out with Kiss. And then he opened up a West Coast office called Coin, the West Coast in Westwood. And I'd go down there, and they had Carol Ross. Carol Ross was the PR person, who's still a friend of mine. And I forgot there was another big guy. I can't remember his name. But then Alan Miller ran the West Coast. And then when Coin and Alan broke up, Alan stayed out in L.A., and he said, look, you can stay with me and be a big fish in a little sea, or stay with Bill and be a little fish in a big sea. So I stood with Alan, and Alan was my manager, and we did some great things together.
Yeah.
You know, and
Nice.
then, but I still hung out with Paul, and I brought Paul to Rod Stewart parties, you know.
He loves Rod Stewart.
Oh, I know he does.
He doesn't stop talking. Till this day now, even in recent, he always brings him up constantly.
Yeah.
And
You guys talk to him?
Paul?
Yeah.
No,
We
no,
hope
we were hoping you would do it for us. No, we don't talk to Paul.
I mean, I text him. He texted me back, but lately he's, I don't know what he's doing, but he's, I know he knocked down his house. He's building another one.
Yep.
Which I don't understand why he's doing it in L.A.
Nobody understands that either.
Everybody's leaving L.A.
Yeah.
And the government there is awful, And,
So was your experience with Paul, did that, and then signing with a Coin, did that lead to King Kobra kind of then jumping on board for opening for KISS?
Yes,
or how did that?
It did.
Okay.
Because I had gotten out of, I was fired from Ozzy because
I want to hear about that a little more, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I was just, I was doing master classes every day in every market. So I was making big money doing that. And I was giving the cash to the tour accountant. So he was holding a lot of money for me. And Sharon didn't like the fact that I was making money while on the road with her. Maybe it'd have been better if I gave her a 10% commission. But, I had a contract. My contract said I can do this. I even had my own merchandise on the tour.
Yeah.
The Winterland sold my Carmine merchandise. It was called, I forgot what we had, but we had pictures of me on the drum set. And then suddenly all of my T-shirts had the head cut off it, and that was in the Motley Crue book,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Motley was the opening act. And, and she'd tell me that I'm tired when I go on the stage. I said, wait a minute, I'm not tired. Ozzy's the one who's tired. Many times you go on the stage, you go, oh, man, I'm a bit knackered. I said, come on, Oz, let's go on. We're getting on there, And then in one big article in a newspaper in Cleveland, Ohio, in the main newspaper, had a full-page article. And they said, what's the biggest effect in the show? And I said, the stairs open up, my drum riser comes down, I do a drum solo, it's an effect. I said, I didn't come up with the idea. It was Sharon and Ozzy's idea. I could do a drum solo anywhere, under the stage is fine, So happened that night the drum riser didn't work like that. And it's the same night the heads were cut off the thing,
Oh, jeez.
And she kept telling me, that blah, 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 this and that about my master classes. And next thing you know, Tommy Aldridge came to see us in Texas. And we had an amazing show that night. It was really great.
Yeah.
And I was even hanging out with Tommy because he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was there to replace me the following Monday. And then she just scammed me. She just said, your name's too big. You need to have your own group. That's what she told me.
Wow.
And she fired me. And we had a lawsuit going. And later on, Ozzy, but on that tour, I did figure out that when I was going to do my band, when she fired me, I was going to do the opposite look of Motley Crue.
Okay.
Motley Crue had 3 guys with black hair and one blonde.
Yeah.
So I figured I'll be the black-haired guy with purple in it, right? Because on that tour, I'd walk into a hotel with my black and purple hair and a big black fur coat in the winter. And I walk to the hotel and I go, here's your key, Mr. Osbourne. They give it to me. I go, no, he's Mr. Osbourne. He had a mink coat on and black and white street hair.
That's
hair,
funny.
Blonde and black, Anyway, so then I did King Kobra. And we did the first album. We tried to get on good tours. We toured with Autograph. And had a big stage set. I put a fortune into that band because I got a lot of money from, merch deal because, the merch for King Kobra was good because of the look.
Yep.
And then And then on the second album, we didn't really tour with them. We toured with Autograph. And Autograph, we were blowing them off the stage. I had this $20,000 stage set. Everything was black, gold, and red. My drums, the stage set, the risers, everything, the clothes, it all tied into the concept,
Yep.
And we were blowing them off every night. So they finally said we couldn't use our stage set. We did that. We still blew them off. And then like we couldn't get any other tours,
Wow.
So then we did a second album, and then we had to get on a big tour. But Alan Miller was still my manager, and he knew all the guys in KISS. He knew everybody. So me, Alan, and Paul and Gene, we did a phone call. We said, dude, we really need your help. Can you bring King Kobra on your tour?
Mm-hmm.
And they said yes. And not only did they say yes, they paid us.
Wow.
Which they weren't doing really at that time.
A lot of money. No, they was just starting where people would pay them.
Yeah,
but they didn't need the money, and we were friends, And it was I think it was Gene or Paul's birthday, and we all came out on their stage, and brought out a cake, and and I had my own motorhome, my own truck, and everything, but the motorhome kept breaking down. It kept like being, and it became like a tour thing. They go, hey, they're going to make it tonight, or what? We made it no matter what. If we had to get in two cars, and we made it, and then it became like a little joke. And I was good friends with Eric. I was good friends with Bruce Kulick.
Yeah.
And Eric, the other Eric.
Yeah, Carr. Yeah,
Eric Carr.
The late
I was
Eric
good
Carr.
friends with Eric. All the Erics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember. The other Eric was a contestant on my Drum Wars my drum off.
Wow.
The Guitar Center drum off. I started that.
Okay.
I did 5 of them in LA, and Eric was one of them. And he was discovered at my drum off by Lita Ford.
And that's how he, wow. And,
And
from
that's
that,
how he started his career.
wow.
So we're really good friends,
That's great. So now, I was going to ask you, though.
Go ahead, Zeus.
You've mentioned all 3 drummers from KISS that you've known and you know personally. Is any way you can kind of give us their styles or, what you think?
I thought Peter was a good drummer, but it was an old style.
Yeah.
He wasn't even though he grew up in New York and he had the same influences as me, I don't think he studied. So he was good, but good to a point. And Eric was the second one. Eric Carr. He was a good player, and but he wasn't there long enough to really for me to get an idea of his playing.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah. Where Eric Singer, he won. He came in like in the top 5 of my drum off. And I knew he was a really good drummer, and he never stopped practicing.
Yeah.
And he was great with twirling and doing all that. And he was he's probably the most technical drummer KISS had.
Yeah, agreed.
We've heard
love
that.
Eric. I love Eric. I liked him with Alice Cooper. And at one point I asked Alice, how come, you don't get somebody like me to play with you? He says, I like to give new guys a chance. And that's the same thing. There was a rumor going around when Peter left that I was going to be asked to join KISS because I was around with them.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that because I was just going to ask that. You played on Paul's album in '78, and not long after that, that's when a lot of the friction happened with Peter. Right. When Peter left, were you ever in discussion to be the next KISS drummer?
There was discussion. I remember I discussed it, I think, with Gene. Because when I was doing King Kobra after the Capitol deal, I was meeting with Gene about putting King Kobra on his label that he had at the time.
Yes.
And I go up to his house and hang out with his kids and, and his wife. I knew his wife and his kids. I knew them all,
Yeah.
Probably the one I knew the least of was Ace. But Ace always was good to me. Whenever I go see Ace, he'd bring me backstage. He gave me his book. He signed it to me, Hey, Carmine, here's my boy. Such a funny man.
Was that an Ace impression? Oh, yeah, we'd love to hear it some more.
We love Ace impressions.
I can't do it anymore because it's too high. My voice has got reflux, and I keep losing my voice. You know,
Just got to slur your words a little more, whether you're drinking or you're not. That's all.
Carmine, what are you doing? Something like that.
That's it.
Yeah, but I love Paul. You know, and Gene was always Gene. You know, Gene was always the business guy.
Oh yeah.
And, well, here's something funny. Okay, you'll appreciate this. We grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Me and my brother. We were doing a drum war show in New York, so we went to our old house in Brooklyn with my girlfriend Leslie Gold, the radio chick.
Yeah.
So we're standing outside the house taking pictures. So a guy comes out. He's dressed with a yarmulke, and it ends up he's a rabbi. And he goes, "Could I help you?" I said, "Oh, we used to live here." He goes, "Oh, are you the two famous drummers that used to live here?" We said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, come on in." So we go in and we're seeing the whole thing. So he goes, "You know, do you know Gene Simmons?" And I said, "Yeah, I know Gene Simmons." Why? He goes, "Because he went to my yeshiva when he was a kid, you know, and we're trying to get a hold of him to maybe do a charity for our yeshiva." I said, "Oh, wow." I said,
Wow.
I said, "What a coincidence that is."
Oh yeah.
You know?
Small world.
I said, "Well, look, what I'll do, I'll give you his manager's number. You can call his manager." I never knew what happened.
Yeah.
I gave him Doc McGee's number because I knew Doc McGee from when I toured with Ted Nugent. Pat Travers was our opening act, and he used to manage Pat Travers. That was the first band he ever managed.
Yep.
You know, so I used to hang out with Doc a lot. You know, and Doc's always been a good friend through all
Oh yeah.
on Jovi area. You know, I just saw him in New York last year before COVID with Richie Sambora and his girlfriend playing guitar. You know.
Yeah, you have Richie on your album, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
And a bunch of others. Yngwie Malmsteen. How's that guy like?
Well, it was interesting. I flew down to Florida to get him, and he had a studio in his house. And I went in, and I played on one of his tracks, and he played on my track. And he played a bit different on my track than he ever played. He played more bluesy.
Okay.
You know? But we had a good time.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Yeah,
Great.
I know he's a bit egotistical, but hey, he's got the right. He's an animal.
Yeah,
he is.
He's a monster.
We did an album review on his Odyssey album that he has Joe Lynn Turner on, and we talked about his playing. It just sometimes it gets a little bit like way too long and stuff, but his talent is undeniable. Yeah.
Oh, he's unbelievable. I mean, that's what Vinnie Vincent was trying to be on his Vinnie Vincent Invasion albums, trying to be like Yngwie, but you know, he doesn't play that good. He plays like he played on Kiss with me, with Carmine and the Rockets. He plays that stuff amazing. He's a really great songwriter, but he's a bit of a fucking asshole. You know?
Perfect segue. Now you knew him before, like in the 80s, right? Early 80s.
I knew him in the 70s.
Oh, even more.
1979, beginning of 79. You know, I was thinking of doing a band, you know, like the new wave thing was happening, you know. And I was with Andy Johns. Andy Johns did our demos, and Vinnie wrote these really cool Beatle kind of songs, really good songs. Yeah. You know, and then we had this guy, which was Vinnie's friend, Cyril. His name was Cyril Sliamflon. I said, God, that's an awful name for a rock guy. You know, and he always wore these polka dot shirts or shirts with zeros on. I said, and Sting had just come out in 78 with the Police named Sting. Yeah. So why don't we just call you Zero?
Yeah.
You know? He said, okay. So he was Zero. We had Vinnie Cassano, me, and Eddie Spaghetti was a rhythm guitar singer. So we'd all sing. And it was a great little band. We did a lot of shows up and down the West Coast. We headlined 2 nights at the Whiskey. Everybody came to see us. Eddie Van Halen, Eddie Money, all the guys in the Knack, Robin Givens. I mean, everybody came to that show, you know? And it wasn't because of Vinnie Vincent, you know, because, you know, I just came out of Rod Stewart. I was actually playing with Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
And that's the day I did a drum off at Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard to promote those gigs. I had over 3,000 people at the Guitar Center. Wow. I mean, at the Tower Records. And everybody filtered out onto the street. We ended up being on Eyewitness News that night in L.A., you know, which promoted the hell out of me and my show, which sold out at the Whiskey 2 nights, you know. And and we did all our material. We didn't do anything from my past. It was all our material, which I still have on tape that I want to release, but Vinnie won't let me do it.
And you're legally, you're not allowed to do that until.
Well, I mean, I could do it, but I don't want any more lawsuits. What the hell do I need a lawsuit?
Lawsuits? Is that something that Vinnie does?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. We know all about it. And
well,
so,
a matter of fact, after we had a deal that we'd split all the writing and publishing, and we'd split the the money for the record deal.
Mhm.
We split the money, 25% each for royalties, and and this was built on my name.
of course,
Nobody knew Vinnie Casano. Nobody knew Eddie Spaghetti or Zero. And Alan Miller was managing it. And, we had all the connections. So I said, look, we'll split everything, keep the band happy. So at the end, Vinnie says, just as we were about to sign a record deal, he says, I don't want to split the writing. I said, well, you don't want to split the writing, then you're out of here, because that's the deal. You signed a contract to that deal.
yeah.
So he didn't do it. So we blew it all out. I blew it all out.
Wow.
And then a few months later, I get a call from Paul and Gene. I said, Carmine, we're thinking of using this guy, Vinnie Casano, on guitar. What do you think? I said, well, what do you mean, what do I think? Do I think of his talent? What do I think of his personality? I said, yeah. I said, well, he's really got a lot of talent. He's a great writer. He sings okay. And he's a great guitar player. But as far as personality, forget it. Stay away from him. He's nothing but trouble,
And that proved to be the case because we say he's supremely talented songwriter and player, but he can't get out of his own goddamn way.
Unbelievable. Even lately, I had a whole thing with him.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, this guy, Derek Christopher, who's my friend now, was booking Vinnie at a gig in Memphis and Nashville. So he got a hold of me and said, it would be really cool if you want to play with Vinnie Vincent, on this. And I said, he's been, absent for 25 years. I heard he's a woman now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's me. But the lead singer of King Kobra, Mark Free, is now a woman too. I said, maybe it's me.
That's two. Right?
Yeah, but Mark's a great Marcy, amazing singer.
Yeah,
a great singer. But him too, he's got problems. I got some deals for some live King Kobra done on the radio, and she said, I don't want to do it. I said, okay.
Wow.
I mean, I'm just doing. It's not about money for me. I said to her, it's not about money. It should be. You're such a great talent. You're such a great front man, fronting the band. You sound great. We created something that made a mark. Let's just put it out just for fun. Nobody's going to make money on the record business anymore. There's no business anymore.
Now, those King Kobra albums, I mean, you guys opened up for Kiss. Those albums came out right at the time when that music was huge. Can you... Yeah. What's your theory on why King Kobra didn't become like the band that it should have?
We had the wrong PR people at Capitol.
Okay.
Anyway, you want me to finish Vinnie Vincent first?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Do that, please.
Yeah. So anyway, so I said, look, I'll be interested. So he said, why don't you guys talk? So he gave me Vinnie's number, and I called Vinnie, or Vinnie called me. I can't remember. And we talked for like 2 or 3 hours. Reminiscing on the old days and how good a band it was we had and blah, blah, blah. I told him I got all the songs. I sent it to him. I said, they really sound good. They still sound good, And then he thanked me for when he was trying to put the Invasion together. Me and my brother Vinnie had a company called Appice Brothers Drum Rentals, And Alan Miller lent him, Alan was in charge of it. He lent Vinnie a drum set for a month. To audition drummers and everything. So he thanked me for that, which I thought was nice. I didn't even know we gave it to him, And we talked and things were good. And he said, yeah, I want to do these gigs and then we can go out and do other gigs and blah, 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 blah. And I said, great. I said, who do you want to use on bass? And he says, I don't know. I said, why don't we get Tony Franklin on bass? You know, he played with me in Blue Murder, my Guitar Zeus. I did a band in Japan with him.
Yep.
He's my favorite, bass player to play with today. He's awesome. He plays fretless bass. He played with the Firm, Jimmy played with Blue Murder. But so Vinny said, "Yeah, that sounds good," So then I got back to, and he must have got back to Derek, and Derek said, "Okay, we're putting this gig together. We got contracts. Me and Tony signed the contract. Derek gave us the money as a down payment, and then." We're trying to get a set list from Vinny, which was impossible, And then it started getting weird and more weird. And before you know it, Derek gave Vinny money, a lot of money, right? Which I didn't understand why Vinny was getting so much money, but I guess because he was absent for 25 years. And then I saw stuff on the internet of stuff he did with Gene. And then that turned into be crap after that. And I guess they went to war again after that, and he looked like a woman to me. I said, "How?" I mean, and we used to kid around because when we do gigs, I put a little eye makeup on. And Vinny would take forever putting the eye makeup on. I said, "Come on, Vinny girl."
Geez.
New York. He's from Connecticut. And Zero was from Connecticut. It was East Coast guys, East Coast kidding around.
Yep.
But when I saw that, he's wearing high heels, like women high heels. I'm going, whoa, what happened to him? But then he was talking, I don't know. He seemed okay, but he just looked freaking weird, But then when the thing got blown out, he never gave the money back to Derek. I offered to give our money back to Derek, and Derek said, no. Derek's a stand-up guy. He said, no, keep it. You put the time aside. You worked it with Vinny. You tried to get things going. Just keep it. Now ends up he books speaking gigs, which I do. I do rock history speaking. I do speaking about life lessons, stuff I've learned to keep myself going and inspiration. So Derek's a good friend, And now Derek just sent me a long thing that Vinny did, press release of how he's coming out with this music, and he overcharges everybody for everything.
Oh yeah.
And the other guy that did the Kiss Cruise party before.
Yeah, Cruise Fest.
He told me nightmares about that gig. I was just with that guy at the podcast convention.
Oh yeah, Rock and Pod. Yep.
You were Joe D'Angelo.
Joe D'Angelo, yeah. D'Angelo was telling me nightmare stories about it, And I said, I don't get it. I don't understand why. And Bruce Kulick doesn't get this kind of attention,
Right.
Bruce was with Kiss for 10 years, and he was with them for a minute.
Yep.
I don't understand why Vinnie Vincent's getting all this, because he went out and did Vinnie Vincent Invasion, which I thought was awful. God, I mean, listen to that album. You can't hear anything but the freaking guitar.
Yeah. He's
I know I'm going to see things. I'm going to start seeing things on like BraveNewWorld.com. Carmine says Vinnie Vincent album's awful.
Oh no! We would never spread that kind of stuff. It gets out there.
Those guys listen to your podcast.
Yeah,
they do it themselves.
But if he is awful,
but I don't really give a shit about Vinnie Vincent.
Good. You shouldn't.
I don't. I mean, my career has been set, for 55 years already.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't think your reputation in your career is anything to be concerned about because of Vinnie Vincent.
We have a BBA live record coming out from 1974.
Wow.
And with 7 new songs. And we also got the Beck Appice Live in Japan album. Rights back to that. So, Jeff's manager's been working on that, and I had Tim sign the deal before he passed away to make sure his wife was taken care of.
That was this year too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's January.
That's too bad.
But we have a new record coming out, a new single.
Nice.
Stop in the Name of Love by the Supremes.
Wow.
Familiar, very similar to Hanging On, and Tim's on it.
So can I ask you a question then? So you keep me hanging.
No, you're not allowed.
So you keep me hanging on Vanilla Fudge, obviously. That's legendary. Yeah. But you also have it on this. How did that come about? And that's the Rod Stewart album, because people can't see
it. Very simply. That was easy, really. Rod me and Rod were good friends. I know Rod since 1968. And he said, I always loved the way Guy said, hey, you keep me hanging on. I wish I would have done it. I said, guess what? I'm in the band. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Rearrange it a little bit. But you singing it would be amazing.
It is.
Said, okay. So we did. And that whole middle section with the orchestra, wow. And then the dual guitar thing at the end. We used to play that live. I mean, people used to go bananas.
Oh, yeah. They should be going bananas. It's
and now,
awesome.
With that, our version of the song was in Quentin Tarantino's movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It was the last 6 minutes of the song. And it quadrupled our royalties for the last year.
I can imagine.
Which gave us a new audience, I think.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Because now we're getting more tour dates and easier to get tour dates than we've been doing,
Well, it's honestly one of my favorite albums. I listen to
I love that album.
And that's Footloose and Fancy Free.
Yeah.
I listen to this constantly. And one of my favorite things.
You're Insane.
I
love that track.
You know what it is? And I'm not a drummer. I'm not a musician. But you're drumming on this and the guitars.
Yeah,
and just, I look at it as
I had to calm down my drumming a little bit to fit, like Hot Legs.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
I just talked about this at the convention.
Yeah.
Somebody said, do you ever have to calm down or change your style to play with everyone? I said, really, not much. I mean, they said, which one did you have to change the most? I said, probably with Rod.
Yeah.
I had to tone down the stuff, but take a look at Hot Legs. I mean, I'm playing simple, but when the fills come, I'm doing my fills, my signature fills.
And they're fucking awesome.
Night. Thank you. I played Friday night at the convention. That everybody went to this club, and that Sandy Gennaro's band played. I played. My brother Vinnie played. I played Hot Legs and Stay With Me. Right?
Oh, two of my favorites, Rod.
I did my stuff, and the audience was going bananas. Vinnie played Rick Derringer, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, and we were going to stay, and I was going to play Blue Murder and play Do You Think I'm Sexy? But it was like 2 hours later. I said, no, I'm not going to stay here another 2 hours. Everybody, and this backstage was so crowded. I had my mask on at the time. It's just, not the time to be hanging out backstage with a crowded backstage when, with this COVID crap going on.
Yeah, you're also in two of my favorite, and I don't know, fun. I would call them funny now because they're kind of dated, but the Hot Legs video is fucking hilarious. No
yes, it was hilarious.
You guys, I love reading the comments on YouTube because they're always like, this is what happens. You have $300,000 budget and it's all wasted on cocaine. So you're like, fuck it. Let's just take a video on a fucking at a gas station.
Right, but that was one of the first videos I've ever done.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it was great shooting through the chick's legs.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Riding on that stupid pickup truck.
Yeah, and you're all screaming Hot Legs on
Hot Legs, and hair blazing in the air. Billy Pete taking the solo on the tracks.
Yeah, he's doing a little Angus Young thing there.
Yeah, but that was actually not Angus Young.
Chuck Berry. I know what you're saying.
Chuck Berry. That was before.
I know.
Yeah.
Those guys didn't come out till 80, 81.
Yeah,
and then the other,
I saw AC/DC at the Whiskey, and I said, all right, these guys are okay, but who knew they were going to get so big,
And then the other video
opened up for Vanilla Fudge. Who knew they were going to be so big?
That's right. And then, of course, the other video, the Bark at the Moon video from Ozzy.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
And we just came in from, I was with Ozzy in New York City. I was associate producer for the first 500,000 records until she fired me. And I was taking care of Ozzy. I took him to the studio every day, and they hired me because they didn't like the way Tommy Aldridge played, and they thought I could help fix the drum sound and stuff. And I worked with Ozzy on getting the last few vocals, which were, his vocals were done like 2 or 3 words at a time,
And this is Bark at the Moon.
Yeah. I mean, we'd walk from the hotel to the recording studio. Ozzy would have a diamond ring on. In New York in the 80s, man, 83. I said, dude, take that ring off. You want to get mugged, And Sharon left Ozzy in charge of me. you know. And we flew to SST to go to London to do that video, right? And usually you could see the outline of the world, but it was cloudy that day, and we didn't. But we got to New York to London in 3 hours. You know,
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. I expected it to be a bigger plane. It was only 2 rows of seats, you know, but it was amazing going so fast, you know.
That's
and
awesome.
We got off the plane, and you know, we had a day off, and then we went to this old insane asylum.
Wow.
Insane asylum. And we walked around, me and Bob and Jake, while they were filming Ozzy.
Yeah.
And the 3 of us with Don Airy, we walk around the insane asylum. We found an embryo in a bottle.
Oh, Jesus
closet.
Christ.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and we're going, wow. And another thing on the wall had spray painted, "Help me." You know, like, wow. We said, wow, this place, you know.
Wow.
And then, you know, and I'm playing the drums to Tommy's drumming.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So I'm in that video, you know, and I had a deal worked out, I had a sweet deal with him. Every time it went gold, I would get a bonus for being on the production team.
Yep.
And then when she fired me, I went down the tubes. I was really mad.
Oh.
Yeah, I
don't like quitting things. I was never fired. I mean, the Rod thing, I was fired, but even in my book, he wrote the intro to my Stick It book.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anyone wants to get the book, all these stories are in it. It's like Stick It, My Life of Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll.
Excellent.
You can get it at CarmineAppice.com. And Rod wrote the intro.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
And he said, I fired Carmine, fuck knows why.
Wow.
I know why. They were doing so much cocaine, you know, that they didn't know what they were doing. And the other guy, Jim Cregan, who I forgave now, was in Rod's ear to get rid of me because...
The guitarist.
Yeah, because Rod was the big name.
Yeah.
And then it was me next. I did all the press all around the country, all the local press. Rod did the national press. And then
He didn't like it.
So Jim didn't like it. First, they blew out my production credit. And then I got blown off the tour. But then, you know, at the time, the people were going to, they were selling stories to the English press for like $100,000.
Wow.
So Alan Miller told, you know, Rod's manager, look, we're not trying to rip anybody off, but, you know, you fired Carmine just before the tour. He was depending on the tour, you know, and, you know, if you don't do some sort of settlement, we're going to sell a story to the papers. So Billy Gaff said, okay, we'll give you some money. So they gave me some money. It wasn't the amount I'd get on the tour, but it was some money. And I didn't want Rod as an enemy.
Yeah.
But then my album came out on Rod's label.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? So he's on the tour, talking about how can you trust a drummer that has his name on the drums? I said, what the fuck does that mean? You know?
I was going to ask you about that.
I was saying things, I don't even know what that means. You know, I said, you know, I still like Rod. You know, we had some disagreements and we're okay now. But if he's still badmouth me, okay. And then a couple of years later, I don't even remember how we got back together. I went to his wedding. I hooked Jeff Beck and Rod back up together.
Wow.
They were enemies. Then Jeff was staying with me. We went to Jeff's, my friend Dwayne's house, and we put down People Get Ready.
Yeah.
Ready. I'm on that. My voice is on that. I was producing it. It's just those kind of things, you know. But I love Rod and I love Jeff. You know, I got them together and they came out with a thing. I'm sorry they didn't ask us to do the video with them, you know. But you know, that's history. There's so many stories. You know, stories.
That's the thing, Zeus. I know you wanted to talk about is the whole John Sykes angle there with that. So.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing. So, how did Blue Murder started off? I think it's also the timing, and those of us that like the music, we knew John Sykes was Whitesnake.
Just like King Kobra.
Yeah.
Okay. King Kobra had this guy Ray Tuscan, who was the A&R guy. He signed us, but his forte was the PR, getting the radio airplay. But they moved him up to A&R. We went to A&R because he signed us. And they had somebody that didn't do his job in radio. That's why we didn't make it.
Yeah.
As soon as he went back to A&R, our albums were over. They signed Poison.
Oh, go ahead.
Say no more. Okay. So then that's that. John Sykes. When we did the second King Kobra record, I was asked to do that big Whitesnake record, join Whitesnake.
Oh, really?
Wow.
John and David asked me to do that record.
Wow.
I said, I'm sorry, because in those days when you're signed to a major label, your own deal, and I'm the signature on the deal, I said, I have my own snake to deal with. I can't do it. I'm signed to Capitol.
Yeah.
And then I recommended, I said, why don't you get like Ainsley or somebody? Cozy had just left.
Yep.
Right? And there's a whole clique of, Cozy, Bonham, Cozy, me,
Aldridge,
Ainsley, there was
Ainsley,
like a clique,
Yep.
So they got Ainsley, sold 27 million records. I could have shot myself on the head. So then I heard that Tony Franklin and John Sykes were starting a band, Blue Murder, and Cozy's the drummer, and Ray Gillen was the singer. I said, wow, man, I would love to play with those guys. I love Sykes' playing. I love Tony's playing. And then I heard Cozy and Ray are out. I said, wow, how am I going to get a hold of these guys? I don't know how to get a hold of them. I mean, I specifically went out of my way to find John and Tony.
Really?
Play with them. Yeah. So I said, well, let me see what I can do here. They're in England. My brother Vinny's going to England with Dio. He's going to be playing 3 nights or 4 nights at the Hammersmith Odeon. I'm going to go there when Vinny's there and Dio, because, Dio was a good friend of mine. All those guys, I knew everybody there. And I'm going to find out, but if anybody that knows how to get a hold of John Sykes, they'll be there at those shows, because that's the place to be. And sure enough, I found Chris Welch. You know who Chris Welch is?
Why do I know?
The Melody Maker magazine. He was the big guy at Melody Maker magazine.
Okay.
He gave me John Sykes' stepdad's phone number.
Wow.
I called him. I said, look, I'm in England. I know you guys are looking for a drummer. I'd like to come down.
Yeah.
And they said, great, come on down. So I went down. I drove there. I had a car. I only had one. It's funny. I had one cassette to listen to. It was Permanent Vacation by Aerosmith.
Oh, okay.
It was a 3-hour drive and 3-hour drive back from London. I knew every note on that record by the time I got there and came back. But when I got there at 2 a.m, Tony met me at a hotel, because he was staying at the hotel, and he busted the bar open, and we had a drink. I'm not a drinker, but Tony was a drinker, an alkie, a druggie. He was everything, And then the next day we went into John Sykes' stepdad had a studio in the house that John grew up in, a proper recording studio. So I went in, they had Cozy Pal's drums in there.
Wow.
And then we just played,
Wow.
They played some of their songs I played. And they came up to me and said, first we smoked a bowl of hash.
Of course.
Yeah. And then they came up to me and said, oh my God, John said, we play with Ainsley, we play with Tommy Aldridge, we play with everybody. You got so many drum fills like nobody else. I said, well, I don't have like 3 or 4. I just play whatever the hell comes out. He says, well, you're in if you want it. I said,
wow.
Fucking great. I'm in. And then it turned out to be such a hassle. Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah, because at the time, then Tony Martin was supposed to sing with us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Bob Rock was going to produce us. So
wow.
Tony lived in Tony and John. No, me and John lived in L.A. John we ended up marrying this woman, lived with her in her house. And then when we got the deal and we started recording and everything, we're ready to go. Tony Martin says, I'm not going.
Oh, geez.
So we went, talked to Bob Rock. He said, well, look, just come. We'll do the tracks and we'll figure out the vocals. And meanwhile, John had done all the demos that got the record deal. All right. So after we did that, we came home and Bob Rock started producing The Cult,
Oh, yeah.
And we got an unbelievable drum sound up there at Little Mountain. And yeah, I remember the one crazy story that I've been telling them lately was when we recorded Jelly Roll, which ended up being the single.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
In the video.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we did everything to a click. So I was able to record the drums. And if I didn't like some, I go in and I punch in just like anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I did all the drums once and then we got a better drum sound. And Bob Rock said, you want to redo all the drums? I go, sure. We redid all the drums to the tracks that John and Tony put down.
Wow.
So this one night we went in there, to come back from all the strip bars with all the strippers and everything, and drunk and stoned. And John said, "Hey, Carl, why don't you go in and play on Jelly Roll and let everybody watch?" I go, "Oh, come on, man. I don't do that. I don't play stoned, you know. Come on, Carl, you know. Yeah, everybody, come on." So I went in and played. So I didn't know what I was doing. I just played it. The next day we come in, I listened to it. I said, "Holy shit, that's pretty fucking good." so we kept it.
Nice. Really?
Yeah.
So that's the version.
Yeah. So, you know, so the same thing kind of happened with King Kobra, happened with John. You know, in those days, you had to have the management, you had to have the record company, publicity company, a great video, and a great A&R guy.
Yeah.
We had everything but the management. The management was a lawyer, some radio promotion guy, and John's stepdad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So after it first came out, the record company had a plan to release Valley of the Kings to get it going and then release Jelly Roll.
Yep.
You know, but we insisted because at the time, John was unhappy with the management company, including his stepdad, and fired everybody. And he was the shareholder of the band.
Yeah.
It was his record deal, you know. But at the time, before the record came out, when we couldn't find the singer, we went to Derek St. Holmes and David Glenn Isley and this one and that one. And me and Tony just said, "Hey, John, why don't you sing? You got the record deal. You sing. We'll do the background. It'll be like the Cream, the trio."
Yeah.
You know? And we, you know, improvising. And we said, "Great." So that's what we did. So then when it came out, it was a kind of a mess. We had no manager. So my manager, Alan Miller, was like helping.
Yeah.
You know, but nobody gave him the credentials to really go do everything. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like Alan would tell me what we need to, I would tell John, we need to hire this guy to do, promotion, and tell Geffen we want this in heavy rotation, you know, and they did that. So they blew their wad on Valley of the Kings, which was the wrong song.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember exactly where I was and like when both the singles came out on this album. And I knew who you were, Tony Franklin from The Firm. And then I'm like, oh, this is the guy that actually played on the two big Whitesnake albums.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I thought of it.
So then we went on tour. We did some Bon Jovi dates, which was amazing because we had 5 roadies, 2 buses, you know, because we had tour support from Geffen. And, you know, and it was great because we're playing in front of the Bon Jovi when they were really hot, you know, and all these women in the.
I can imagine.
And we were jamming.
Yeah.
And people were loving it, you know. But then when Valley of the Kings didn't do the numbers they're supposed to do, we did 8 shows with them, and then we couldn't get another tour, you know.
Wow.
So we went to Japan, and we killed it in Japan. And in Japan, it was great. Music life, it was like the trio of the past: the Cream, Jimi Hendrix, BBA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trio of the future, Blue Murder.
Right.
So I was in the past and the future. It was great.
That's right.
And we played for 12,000 people in Tokyo and 5,000, 6,000 people in Osaka, you know. And it was great. And we used to do Hot Legs. We did Still of the Night, and we did a Firm song.
Wow.
Those were the only
awesome.
things we did.
Yeah.
And they loved us in Japan, you know. And then when we came back, we toured with Billy Squier.
Oh, awesome.
Right?
Yep.
And that's when Billy did that thing. Everyone was turned off to him.
Yeah, the pink shirt video.
The Rock Me Tonight video.
Yeah, everyone was turned off to him. We had King's X and Blue Murder. So it was King's X open, Blue Murder. We were in the middle, and Billy on top. And, you know, we were killing it. And it's funny, at King's X, I loved King's X. I went on their bus, and what do you think they're playing? Playing fucking Cactus.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So big Cactus fans.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep.
You know, so this is all hitting me like, wow, this is great. You know,
Yeah.
I'm in Japan. I'm in the new. These guys are in Cactus. You know,
Right.
We became really good friends on that tour. You know, and then the tour started falling apart because Billy wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Got you.
I remember one of the last gigs, Studio 54, in New York, we killed it there. We killed it. And then we got off that tour, and then nothing happened. And then some stuff started happening with Vanilla Fudge, to do a Vanilla Fudge live record and maybe some shows. And John didn't like that, so we disagreed, and just kind of parted ways. But then they brought somebody else in to do the second album, and it wasn't happening. So then they hired me as a studio musician to do the second album, and I did the second album, and the magic came back. Because when the first day I played with them, it was like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Together like a glove. And then anybody else that filled in there didn't work right. It didn't sound right, and then it fell apart because John got really depressed after the first album didn't make it. And me too. I would have bet you my house that record was going to go all the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was such a great record. I mean,
I agree. It is a great record.
Everything. Bob Rock, Mike Frazier, an amazing engineer, production team. I remember when me and John they mixed it in LA, and me and John went to the mixers, and they bounced everything to digital. And we said, look, we think you should mix it on analog. Don't do digital. Digital sucks. And Bob Rock turned to us and said, look, either get the fuck out of here. I'm going to stop mixing right now.
Wow.
So me and John looked at each other and said, okay, we're going.
Wow.
Well, that was like 89, right?
Yes,
I think.
yes.
So that's when like Poison and all the other things had taken off.
Yeah, but by the time end of 89 came and 90 started coming in, it was grunge.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we were dinosaurs.
Yeah.
We couldn't work for shit. We had that band, Mother's Army. We couldn't get signed over here for nothing. We went around and toured, but it drew nobody.
Yeah.
And everybody was saying, in reviews and stuff, they were like dinosaurs. So we just held back. I spent the whole 90s in Japan, with Tony. First I went there with Jeff Watson. I went there with my own tour, Super Session Volume 2. It was right after Rod. I went there with the Volume 1. I had Eric Carmen, Tom Peterson, Rick Derringer. We sold, we played the Budokan, sold out, did all these big gigs. So I went there with Volume 2. And that was Kelly Keeling, Tony Franklin, and Mitch Perry, and we did great, and then and that was when the second Blue Murder album was out. So we were doing songs from there that Kelly sang on, and that me and Tony played on, so we did really well. So after that, me and Tony joined this group called Pearl, who was a Japanese band, and we were, the English speaking ones. And the guitarist was Japanese and the singer was Japanese, and she had a big following. So we were playing to 5,000-6,000 people in Tokyo. When the album came out, it hit the Japanese charts at number 7. We got a Japanese gold record, not an American one, which you have to sell more.
Yeah.
And we the whole 90s we spent there. We did 2 or 3 records. We did live records. And then I did a Char Bogart a Peace tour, which was Char was the Japanese Jeff Beck.
Oh, really?
Wow. Okay.
He would sell out 2,500 people. We did the Budokan and 4 other gigs. We did 12,000 people with me and Tim.
Wow.
And that was 1999. Then I went there in 2001. But then things started opening up here in 2001 with Vanilla Fudge and Cactus and all the other things. And then it started releasing Guitar Zeus. I think Guitar Zeus over there went top 10.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then I did Guitar Zeus Japan, which is Japanese artist. I did Guitar Zeus Korea.
Wow, that's awesome.
In Europe, I did 200,000 records around the world with Guitar Zeus everywhere but America. And by the time I started doing deals over here in 2005, 2006, I did a deal, and then the label went out of business. And then I did another deal, and that sort of did nothing. And then finally, I released it on my own label a couple of years ago. And now I'm doing the box set on Deco Entertainment.
Nice.
Now you're doing with all those unbelievable projects that you're doing. Are you doing something? Correct me if I'm wrong. You're doing something with Tommy Thayer from KISS, correct?
Yeah, Guitar Zeus.
Yeah. Okay. Is that something that like what? How did you get hooked up? How did you get hooked up with Tommy?
We called him.
Okay, that's that simple. Okay.
Yeah. When my booker called. I don't know. Oh, I know how we got hooked up. My mixer, Pat Regan, who mixed my original Guitar Zeus, I've got 3 tracks. One Derek Sherinian's playing on.
Oh yeah.
Guitar. I got my guitar player guy from Kodiak, the group I'm managing, to play on another track. And then Pat Regan was working with Tommy on something.
Okay.
I said, man, he said, we should get Tommy on something. So Pat hooked up me with Tommy, and I asked him if he'd play on it. So I had him play on the same track that Derek played on, except we didn't have Derek play the leads. We had Tommy do all the leads. And then Derek wouldn't do a video, so we did the video with Tommy.
Okay.
So we did me, Tony Franklin, Tommy, and this guy Charlie that plays with Angel and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also with Deco Records.
Yeah.
So we got that coming out. That video is going to come out in October.
Okay.
Wow.
You know, and we had Tommy on Hanging and Banging.
Yep.
You know? And we had Bruce on Hanging and Banging. We had Eric Singer on Hanging and Banging.
Yep, heard all those great episodes. Yeah,
Yep.
we've had we were lucky enough to have Bruce on our 100th episode last December. Bruce came on our show here, but yeah, but Tommy, hooking up with Tommy.
And I knew Tommy with Black and Blue.
With Black and Blue, yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, yep.
He's a good player.
He's great.
He gets a lot of shit from the Kiss fans, though. Him and Eric, which is nonsense.
The Kiss fans are ridiculous.
Yeah,
they are.
I mean, you know. What can I say? I love Paul and Gene, and I love the fact that they brought, you know, the makeup and the show to everything.
Yeah.
Come on. Alice Cooper did that first, and they're not even in the fucking Rock and Hall of Fame, you know?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, I know.
You know, I know Kiss worked to get there, and I'm glad. They're hard workers. They are. You know, I love those guys.
Yeah.
But, you know, come on. Alice Cooper, Vanilla Fudge ain't in there.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper's not in there. And even one step back, I just did a recording with Arthur Brown.
Oh, wow.
We did Fire. Me and Brian May. Me and Brian Olga, the keyboard.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that Alice looked up to.
That's right.
And he's not in either.
Yep.
You know,
They're too busy.
Kiss so lucky they got in. I mean, they did a lot of stuff. I mean, they got unbelievable fans. They made unbelievable money. Kiss... Bill Aucoin, unbelievable manager, really helped build that whole thing. I mean, I know that.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you ever meet his partner, Sean Delaney?
Yes, I just saw Sean at the Rockin' Pod.
Oh, no. Sean has since passed. This is Bill Aucoin's old partner, Sean Delaney. He was in the early days of Kiss.
Oh, yeah, I knew Sean Delaney.
Yeah.
Who the hell was it that came up to me then? If he was Sean. Or maybe he was an impersonator. Maybe.
Well, I don't think it was Sean Delaney back.
I didn't think about it, but you're right. Sean Delaney did pass, but I did know Sean Delaney.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a big
because
influence.
Bill Aucoin, Billy Gaff, Rod's manager, Sean Delaney, Tony Toon, our publicist for Rod, they were all gay.
All friends.
They all hung out, and they were all friends, you know. And, you know, when I brought Paul to Rod parties, everyone was flabbergasted because, you know, Kiss was not really respected back in those days.
No.
You know?
Yep.
I mean, they got more respect now for longevity, you know.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Because at the
1977, 78, you know, they were just getting big and everybody was saying, you know, it's all about the makeup. They can't play, blah, 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 you know.
No, that's Poison.
That is Poison.
That is
also.
Yeah, that's the makeup and they can't play. Yeah, that's Poison.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, you know, Kiss played better than Poison, I can honestly say.
And their songs are better.
And I almost did a thing with C.C. DeVille, believe it or not. So.
Oh God!
That's another thing.
Yeah,
C.C. DeVille is like he's like the whipping boy for Shout It Out Loudcast. Whenever we compare people that just you know, we'll just leave it at that. But we're not big fans of C.C. DeVille. At least I'm not.
Yeah. And it's fine. You know, certain people have music that's for fun. Certain people have it. If people are enjoying it, I don't give a shit what it is. If they have their fan base, whatever. But you know,
like I was flabbergasted when I saw Kiss when I was with Rod Leslie. I said, "Oh my God, look at the stage show! How these guys developed that."
One other thing I wanted to ask you is Led Zeppelin is one of my favorite all-time bands.
Me too.
And Tom, but you are part of the legendary story about some, let's say, sharks or something in some females. Can you help, like, fill in the story a little?
Let's start it off by saying the female was my find.
You found her.
She was a groupie that, you know, liked to do favors on the way to the festival and on the way back.
Yeah.
And then, at that point, then you say, okay, see you later. I heard she was with the road crew that night. And then the next day, we were all in a room. Robert Plant, me, John Paul Jones, Tim Bogert. Next door was John Bonham and our tour manager, Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Richard Cole. And we were in Seattle fishing out the window. And my tour manager said, hey, come and check this out. We walked in the bathtub were all these fish they caught. One of them was a mud shark, they call it. It's a shark about that big.
Yeah.
I said, oh, cool. So then we're listening to Delaney and Bonnie smoking pot in John Paul Jones' room. And there's a knock on the door. And it's this chick. I don't even know her name. She comes in and she's smoking with us. And then somebody comes in and sees her and knew who she was because she was with the road crew. And the road crew was fishing next door. So they came in and they just abused her totally. Oh. And Mark Stein, our keyboard player, had an 8mm camera going, and they totally abused her. I mean, it was ridiculous to the point of we had to leave the room and all the commotion. The front desk guy came down. So what was going on? So you guys got to break this up. We broke it up. So me and Tim and John Paul Jones came down to my room, right? So we're sitting in my room, and then knock at the door, and this chick again comes down to my room. Now she's wearing John Paul Jones' bathrobe. Right? So she says, "Oh, awful! Oh, horrible! Get that off!" So she takes it off. So she's sitting on my bed, nothing on. And then another knock at the door. There's all the road crew guys again. And then they start abusing her again and doing stuff I can't even talk about. It's in my book a little better.
Yeah, get the book, guys.
But it got to the point where all this stuff they're doing to her was all over my bed. And I said, oh my God, this is my bed. I said, I got to get out of here. I said, Tim, I'm going to come move in with you. So luckily Tim had 2 beds. So I moved in with Tim and I left there.
Oh God.
That's basically the story. And then the next day we leave and we're getting a connection in Chicago. And we run into Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention.
Oh, boy. So
those guys, were friends of ours.
Yeah.
So I was telling Frank the story. He's like blown away. Next thing I know, Mothers of Invention live at the Fillmore East, there's a story called, a song called Mud Shark. Look that up.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So it really became legendary.
It certainly did. Yeah. That story is infamous for sure.
And then it went to on MTV and the shocking moments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rock and roll was always like in the top 2. Then
I remember from
the shocking moments of rock and roll was always in the top 3 or 5.
It was in Hammer of the Gods. I remember reading that when I was like in junior high school and going.
Yeah, but he didn't tell the story correctly.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff when you read it, you don't know the backstory, and then after you go, wait a minute.
I read that book. A lot of stuff in there wasn't right.
That's what you hear now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a kid in junior high, you're like, oh my goodness, you think these are all real stories. Yeah. But that's a great story. And I had to ask you on, for the show. So thank you for that.
Pretty crazy story. That's why it's called Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll. Stick it. As a matter of fact, when I wrote the book with Ian Giddens, he wrote the new Judas Priest story. Which that book he wrote, Brian Ferry's book. He wrote my book, and he wrote Heroin Diaries. And I said to him, dude, don't you think maybe we should calm down on the sex stories? He said, let me tell you something. When you sell these books, the middle-aged women are going to love it. And he's really right, because no matter where, even at that rock and podcast thing, I was selling the book, and a woman would buy. I said, listen, this is XXX. It's really X-rated sex. She goes, great. Every woman that's bought the book that I've sold it all said the same thing. Awesome. Great.
Wow.
Can't wait to read it. So he was right on that level.
There you go.
The only other thing I was going to say is, and then I'm surprised there are no tag teams with you and Gene Simmons competing with groupies during that time in the 70s.
I mean, we were indirectly. because my girlfriend, radio chick, figured out just on a spreadsheet, averaging how many times you play a week.
Yeah.
I was at 4,600.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know how many genes that.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Wow.
I would think there's some cross contamination in between there somewhere along the line. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing this part, Carmine.
So before we wrap it up, because we appreciate every minute that you've given us here, what's your plans for right now moving forward? Hopefully, we understand that COVID, especially in Florida, is kind of running rampant. Tell us what your plans are, like moving ahead in terms of creativity, music, maybe getting out there and performing.
We're getting gigs lined up.
Okay.
September, we got a 4-day run in a week with me and my brother.
Awesome.
And right after that, we got 4 or 5 days with the Fudge. Then I'm going to go to Vegas to see Rod Stewart, and I might play Sexy and Hot Legs with him.
Excellent.
Nice.
Awesome.
And then I continue to LA. My daughter's getting married. After she gets married, we start up again with Vanilla Fudge and Robbie Krieger. And
wow.
And then in November, we're playing some shows with Cactus in Midwest in New York. And then I got my instrumental album coming out on Cleopatra with a guy named Fernando Perdomo.
Mm-hmm.
We did a jazz rock reggae version of "Either I'm Sexy" instrumentally.
Wow.
And we did a version of "Maybe I'm Amazed" with a drums and guitar version with big background gospel vocals.
Wow.
And then we got another 8 or 10 songs instrumental of those. We got the song coming out with Tim. We'll be doing, we got a video coming out. It's a tribute to Tim with that song. Yep. And in October, we also got the Guitar Zeus coming out.
Yep.
With the box set, and that's a lot.
Awesome.
You are a busy man.
I was just going to say, God.
We're trying to get hanging and banging and going. I might start a new podcast called Rockin' Real Estate, because I do real estate on the side.
Do you?
And I did an interview with a guy that does real estate, and he said this would be a great concept for podcasts. And then talk to other friends of mine that I know, rockers that do real estate on the side.
Wow.
I'm a real estate attorney. I don't know if you know that, but that's okay.
Great.
That's what I do for a living.
Look at Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, right.
Is that what he does? I don't know.
Yeah, you see that show on TV.
Yeah, he's doing that now.
Millions he's making.
Wow.
I'm not making millions. I'm making hundreds of thousands, maybe.
Yeah. I'd like to say
but I've done enough deals and I know enough about it to do 13 episodes and then bring other friends of mine in that do it as well.
Perfect.
And have some fun. So, I enjoy doing these things. You don't have to go out on the road. You can make money doing it. So
that's awesome. Well, God bless you for everything you're doing. God bless that you're staying healthy. We cannot thank you enough for joining us and just talking Kiss, rock, music, everything. It's been an honor. You're a legend. We appreciate your music and everything you've done, and we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us on Shout It Out Loudcast.
Okay. Thank you, man. Good to be here.
Carmine, you're the best. So, Tom, what'd you think?
Just amazing stuff. I mean, we could have been talking to him all night. I mean, from his stories about working with Paul to working with King Kobra and touring with Kiss, his stories with Vinnie and his honesty about Vinnie, it's just amazing. Then getting into all of his non-Kiss stuff, Blue Murder and King Kobra and working with John Sykes and all these other just amazing, his stories about Rod Stewart, which I know that you're a huge fan of, just amazing stuff to hear.
Yeah, I just love the fact that he has no problems or qualms to just spit it out there.
Yep.
No issues. He's doesn't need anything to worry about. He's successful on his own. He doesn't. The guy is a workaholic. When he goes through what he's working on currently, he's 74 years old and he's busting his ass and he's got all these great things coming down the pipe. And so I'm like listening and picking up on stuff. And then in the middle of something, he'll go off on a different story and be like, holy shit. But I also agree. Getting his book is huge. The stories and the names that he drops are real. There's a guy who's been around everything. I was joking with Tom earlier that I'm like, you could do Kevin Bacon, 6 degrees of separation with Carmine Appice and hit probably fucking everybody in rock music.
Yep.
From his connections to Zeppelin, to Whitesnake, to fucking hair metal, to you name it. You can connect him to anything. So, I mean, he's just a legend. We're lucky to have had him, and we're lucky to get his comments about, Kiss. I like the fact that he's kind of friends with them. But you can tell, Tom, we try to ask him some Murph questions. He's more friends with them. It's a business.
Yep.
He wasn't into their music that much.
Yep. And I the other thing, too, I love about the way he tells stories, and there was one point he was talking about Vinnie, and he started to kind of veer off and talk about something else. And I kind of, I think he may have brought up King Kobra.
Yeah.
And I started jumping in and saying, what are your thoughts about, why you don't think King Kobra became the big band that he is? And he's like, well, he's like, but let me finish talking about Vinnie. Let me talk about. I'm like, oh, go ahead, like because like he wanted to keep talking about the things that are important to him, and he's got an unbelievable history with Vinnie. Not all of it's pleasant, but there was no holds barred on him with talking about that and being honest, and other things like when I brought up, oh, you're doing a project with Tommy Thayer. How did you end up working with him? He's like, called him. I'm like, oh, all right. That's right. You're Carmine Appice. All you have to do is call Tommy Thayer. It's just amazing stuff talking about. He's a legend. He's just a legend.
Yeah. I enjoyed the Vinnie part because it sounds like you're talking to a construction foreman or something. You're like, hey, where's Smith? How come he's not here today? Oh, he fucking sucks. He's just a terrible, like, oh, I don't want to fucking deal with him. I don't like, he just threw it out there. He wasn't like, well, Vinny's got some, let's say, issues. And he was just like, nah, he's fucking makes terrible fucking decisions. I don't know what the hell is he thinking. He just, who can deal with him? He's a basket case.
Yeah. He goes, I don't know what happened. He's a fucking asshole.
He's a fucking asshole.
and then the story about how Paul and Gene were talking to him about before we brought Vinnie in the band, and Carmine's like, yeah, I wouldn't do it if I was you.
Yeah. Can we get him for $40 a week?
Just great stuff. And he like you said, Zeus, he's still busting his ass doing all kinds of projects and stuff. It's amazing. And he looks great. He looks great.
Yeah.
It was just, it's great.
I didn't get to bring up the fact that I remembered him in those like circus magazines. And there'd be like the drummer part, and he would have like a tech question about drums. And it was like either in circus or Hit Parader or something. And it was like, ask Carmine Appice. And when you're younger, you remember the stash.
He still has it too. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. And then we got to mention two of my all-time favorite videos. Oh. And he didn't lie or anything. I'm like, about how fucking coked up they were in the Hot Legs video.
Hot Legs video.
Yeah. And even how fucked up that Ozzy Bark at the Moon video was.
And that whole story about Ozzy and Sharon and everything, just crazy shit.
I didn't crack out my I didn't break out my Sharon. That's it. Carmine, you're the fuck out of here. I ain't putting up with that shit no more. You signed this contract now.
I loved it.
I love flashbacks. Listening to that.
Yep.
Oh, and then how can we forget? He does an Ace impression. Oh, naturally. Like no one said we do Ace impression in our sense of humor or anything like that. He just
came out and did
it. He talked about all these famous artists. He didn't once go into, well, let me do an impression of them. When he came to Ace, he started laughing to himself. He goes, hey, yeah.
You can't not do the Ace impression. It was great.
Come on. Ace Frehley here from the band Kiss. How are you?
What's this King Kobra? I drink King Kobra. They make 40 ounces.
Can you give me a lift? I just smashed up my DeLorean. And he's like casually Carmine's like, when I was living with fucking Jeff Beck, then I moved in with fucking, I don't know. I was like, get in the room with John Paul Jones. And I'm like,
I know.
And then the shock story.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And they were lying on my bed. She got on my bed with no clothes on.
Oh,
he's like, they just abused her.
just great stuff, man. And again, we could have kept going. I mean, like I said, with a history like that, who doesn't want to talk about it?
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Anyway, Tom, this is what we do next.
Hi, this is Ed Spansberg of ClickTshop.com, and for all your Shouted Out Loudcast gear and merchandise, please visit ClickTshop.com. At ClickTshop, you can find lots of KISS-inspired t-shirt designs, plus mugs, hats, hoodies, pillows, and all new fine art selections. And now, here's your question of the week.
All right, so here comes one from good friend of the show, Gary Cap. This is kind of a funny one.
Okay.
If either of you were to be replaced on your own show, who would you pick as your replacement? So, Zeus, if you quit the show, who would you pick to replace you?
First, is he asking who would I replace you with, or who would replace me with?
All right, I'll read it. It says, if either of you were be to replaced on your show, who would you want to pick as a replacement? So if Zeus quit the show,
I'm thinking he's saying, who would I want to replace you?
Okay, answer it that way.
I'll answer it both ways.
Okay.
I wouldn't do the show. It wouldn't work.
Oh, see,
it wouldn't work.
Agree.
I can tell you right now. Can I do a KISS show with Sonny Pooney? Yes, but it's not Shouted Out Loudcast. Can I do a KISS show with me and Murph? Yeah, I guess. It's not going to be this show. It just won't. It won't be as fun. Nobody. Okay. There is something about like friendship and chemistry that you can't just make it up or try to see what happens. The reason why I think this show works, and it doesn't work for everybody. I'm sure there are people that have tried us and be like, I don't get their sense of humor, or they're childish, or, they talk too much about the fan or feedback, or they do this. Okay. It doesn't work for everybody, but it works for a lot of people. And I can't change that or manufacture that. I can't have something where I'm about to say it and then you fucking jump in right before me and go, yeah. Like it just, you can't put a price tag on it. We're at the same level of KISS fandom. We have the same amount of work ethic that's involved in this. We're not, hey, what do you want to talk about this week? Well, we're going to go live in 10 minutes. Yeah, is one of us showing up or not? I don't know. Or
do you
we're
like
not gonna
KISS?
Yeah, and we're not going to do it. Hey, is your mic working? What's that eerie sound? Oh, yeah. That's not us. We're both fucking, we have lives. We have our own family. We have our own careers. And then we put the necessary time into this. That is not happening with anybody else. Would I ever do a show if Tom says, I'm not doing podcasts anymore, I'm done? Yeah, I would do a show, but I wouldn't do a KISS show. I'd figure out something else, and I'd probably want like a Sunny or something like that. And, but it wouldn't be this. I wouldn't continue this without him. It's stupid. Yep. That's me.
I agree. I would do the same thing. It wouldn't be a KISS show.
Well, I was waiting for you to go, yeah, I do it with Murph.
Yeah. No, because you're right. I love Murph. We've had him on the show a million times. We love Sonny. We've had him on the show a million times. We do album review crew with him. Yeah. Could we, like you said, could you do a KISS show? Of course you could.
Not this.
But not this, because what we do is more than KISS. It gives us an outlet to do stupid shit while talking about KISS. I love doing podcasts. So if for some reason you were like, hey, you know what? It's just too much. I don't have the time. I can't handle the whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right. I'd be like, shit. Like, I want to do something, maybe go to a movie podcast. Maybe I'd start the horror movie show that I've been trying to get with somebody who would do that with me, something. But in terms of Shouted Out Loudcast, if one of us left, it would be dead. Yep. It would be over.
Yeah.
So.
I can't imagine it working either. I mean, the only thing I could think of is like, if you're like, listen, I've got a 3-month project, I'm not going to be able to do it. Maybe we take a hiatus, or maybe you bring Murph in and I'll try to jump in on an episode here and there. Or maybe you can't do it alone. You need a second person. But
oh yeah,
we have built this up into a well-oiled machine. We know our outline. We have our sheet.
Yep.
the noise I'm making, and we follow it. Here's our intro. Here's our shout out. Here's our Kiss news. Here's our last week feedback. Here's our topic. Here's our question of the week. Here's our plugs. Here's our famous last words. That didn't just happen out of nowhere.
Right.
Because we're both fucking anal. We've decided on this before we did anything. And the other part to this is we can't wing it with people. I can't do that.
No. The preparation for the Carmine thing, like we spent a lot. We're having a legend on here. I mean, we're gonna let him run.
I didn't ask you to do that. I knew you would come prepared.
Right.
When you did the intro with him and you're throwing out, he was in this, he did this, he did this. Yep. I didn't ask you. I didn't know what you were going. You just said to me, I've got the intro. Like, great. Yep. And then we go through our list and you say, you take those points, I'll take these points, and let it flow. We're not going to be, reading. This isn't Dan Rather, like with a script to fucking ask you these 5 questions. Like, this is Ted Koppel talking to Carmine Appice. Carmine, when you took the mud shark and put it between the groupie's legs, tell us, what were you thinking?
Ted, we have breaking news. Can you report on there's been a shooting?
I repeat, Buckwheat has been shot.
See, that right there is exactly why this show wouldn't work. Because Zeus takes the Ted Koppel thing, I throw the shooting line in, and he takes it. There. Yeah, you can't.
We've done these jokes and said these shit to each other since we were fucking under 21 years old on a college fucking couch going, well, yeah, do you remember the fucking Eddie Murphy? Yeah, let's go. Does anybody have that on tape? Yeah, Eddie Murphy's SNL Greatest Things. Let's put it on. Thanks, Dick. That's right. Anyway.
Anyways.
Good question, Gary. But that led us to go into some self-patting on the back. So,
well, that's what we do. We do that. But Gary, thanks, buddy. Thanks for the question. Thanks for being a fan of the show, friend of the show. You're a good man, and I like checking out the shit that you're always selling on Facebook. Do one of those live auctions. Come on, give me one of those, buddy.
Absolutely, Gary's the best.
He is. Yep, he is.
All right, Tom, where can people find us?
All right. We always give out our email to start with. shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. As you can see, we read every single email. We may not read every single one on the air, but we come across every email and we read them, believe me, and we love them. Same goes with the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Check us out on there. Jump in, tag us in comments, feedback, whatever you want. Send us DMs on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Great stuff. Zeus has mentioned it in the past, but just as a reminder, we usually record on Wednesdays. So if you're interested in getting feedback to us on the previous episode, try to get it to us by Wednesday. Obviously, if you can't, we're still going to read it. It might just not make the following week's episode. But that being said, and as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, our Patreon family, we love you guys. You guys are great. So Patreon family, check us out over there on the website or on the app. And of course, we're part of the Great Pantheon Podcast Network, as is Carmine and his brother Vinnie. They're also on Pantheon. And we're proud to share that stage with them. And of course, our question of the week sponsored by our good friend Ed from Click Tea Shop, Click with a K. Check him out, clickteashop.com. Great stuff from Ed. He's been a friend of the show pretty much since day one. So check him out. Great stuff as always.
Yeah, Tom, we always like those DMs. It also helps us a lot. And if sometimes people don't want to share things publicly, they can share it to us DM through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if anybody is going to the concert on Wednesday in Mansfield, let us know. You can DM us. You don't have to go on publicly. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's been growing tremendously, and we appreciate the support there. We also love when you guys give us one of those 5-star child reviews. Those 5-star reviews are huge for us on iTunes. Please, if you get a chance to go there, go on iTunes, give us those 5 stars and tell us why you like it. Hopefully you like it, right? And then also, please remember to email us, shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com, shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. Now, we always go to famous last words. And so let's take this one together, Tom. Famous last words. Let's take something for Carmine had to do with Kiss.
Yesterday is far away. So take me out to sea. Far away, I've been what never will be.
Check me in to lose or win. I'm living memories. The drift begins. The dream of it sets me free.
I love that song. I think it's a great
it's grown
dramatic
on
song.
me over the years.
Yep.
It's
great
really
dramatic buildup of a song. Yep. And Carmine kills it on that. Oh,
yeah. Everybody, please remember to go on CarmineAppice.com and you can pick up his awesome book, Stick It, My Life of Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll. It's a fucking great book.
Yep.
And please, you can go shop around there for all of his merchandise. And I want to thank him, Carmine Appice, the legend. I want to thank Tom. Thank you guys, Loudcasters, and Kiss Army. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, so much. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We were thrilled to have Carmine, and Carmine is a legend. And thank him again for joining us. Zeus, as always, thank you, my friend. Great stuff. This was a fun one for us.
Peace out, Girl Scout.